It is well, however, to remember that while every effect is the result of a cause, the effect in turn becomes a cause, which creates other effects, which in turn creates other causes. So that when you put the law of attraction into operation, you must remember that you are starting a train of causation for good or otherwise, which may have endless possibilities. Welcome, guys, to Chapter 11, Part 11 of Charles Haanel's The Master Key System. I appreciate you joining me today. Hopefully you have listened to parts 1 through 10. Today's going to be relatively quick, but very powerful. We're going to be talking more about the law of attraction, how to apply it within your life. The value of this particular lecture and what you're going to take away is very simple, and that is this: how to apply positive thought to a desired outcome, how to create habitual positive thought patterns towards a desired outcome. So let's get started. This conception is elaborated by Swedenborg in his doctrine of correspondences. And still greater teachers also have said regarding this law of attraction: what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them and ye shall have them. This, of course, is Jesus, Mark 11, chapter 24. The difference only being in the tenses of the passages. We are first to believe that our desire has already been fulfilled. Its accomplishment will then follow. We are first to believe that our desire has been fulfilled. Many times you've heard me in other lectures talk about a teacher named Neville Goddard. Neville Goddard is known for his extraordinary and unconventional ideology, particularly in the age in which he taught, which was during the Depression era. In regard to who and what you are as an individual, who and what your imagination is. Neville taught that your imagination is actually God. That is the God within you. Neville taught a lot about living in the end. So Neville obviously was a strong believer in this particular passage. What things soever you desire, when you pray, believe that you shall have them and you shall have them. Again, we are to believe that our desire has already been fulfilled. Its accomplishments will follow. This is concise direction for making use of the creative power of thought by impressing on the universal subjective mind or the subconscious mind that particular thing which we desire has become an already existing fact. Not will be, but it's already done. That's important. So one of the things I learned when writing affirmations or listening to affirmations or saying affirmations to myself, the importance of the tense of the phrase. It's important to say to yourself that this is a done deal. This is done. So if you are desiring an automobile, a home, a mate, whatever the situation is, it is done. So when you are giving thanks for this particular desired outcome, give thanks from the standpoint that is already completed. So I'm in appreciation today for my new car. I'm in appreciation today for my financial abundance. I'm in appreciation today. I'm affirming my appreciation day for my health, the health that's in my body, the abundance of health that is in my body. So that's very important because, again, the subconscious mind does not know from a physical standpoint if something has or has not happened. It only knows what you are telling it or allowing, what messages you are allowing to get through. And of course, the subconscious mind's responsibility and job is to bring these things into fruition and more things like that. So again, it's a past tense thing. It's already happened. Now, Neville also taught that one of the ways to really expedite this and really make this thing happen is to impregnate that idea, that idealization, that visualization with feeling. How would you feel if your body was already healed? What would you be doing? What would your conversation be like? What would you be telling people? Imagine that. How would you feel if you already had that mate? What are some of the things that you would be telling people? How would you feel inside? And continue to live in the end. Continue to live in that existence. And what you will see is that will manifest. Now, we are thus thinking on the plane of the absolute and eliminating all consideration of conditions or limitation, and are planting a seed which, if left undisturbed, will finally germinate into external fruition. Basically what I just said. But the point I want to make here, we are thus thinking on the plane of the absolute. We're thinking on the plane of the absolute. We're not thinking of little me. We're thinking of big I, inclusive, universal, absolute, omnipresent, omnipotent. That's where we're thinking from. And eliminating all consideration of conditions. So it's not your job to consider, well, how am I going to lose all this weight? I mean, I've seen people lose weight, but man, they didn't weigh as much as I do. How am I going to lose all this weight? It's not your job to consider all that. Your only job is to desire the end result, and the mechanism by which the attainment will come to you. So many times we frustrate the process and we eliminate ourselves from the desired result with our logic and with our rationale, with our conscious mind. We've been so well trained in this society that many times, and quite honestly, this is why psychotherapy doesn't work for many people, is because we've decided before we even go that this is going to have a certain resolution. Either it is or isn't going to work. And then it does or doesn't. But only because of what we think it will or will not do. So if you think that you can, that is true. And if you think that you cannot, that is also true. The part I like about this, whatsoever things ye desire, there's no limitation on the seed that you can plant into the soil of the universal. Whatsoever things ye desire. One of the things that I think about quite often is the difference between me now and me when I was a kid. And I'm trying to get back to that, and I'll tell you what that means. From an imagination standpoint, when I was a kid, I spent a lot of time imagining, and a lot of kids do, of course. I'm no different. And it was such a great place to be because anything was possible. Everything was great. There were so many great feelings in terms of you could create this feeling within yourself that these things are actually taking place. As you get older, of course, you're conditioned through society, through your parents, through your teachers, through your religious leaders, through your co-workers, through whoever it is that you're spending most of your time around. And one of the things that is impressed upon you is this idea of realization. You hear things like be realistic, be logical, that's never going to happen, you can't do that. People that look like us don't do that, or women, that's outside of, there's a glass ceiling, all of these conditional things. Well, let this be your takeaway this week. If you've not considered this, so as we go a little deeper into this lecture this week, one of the things that I think is a good takeaway and possibly just a good exercise for us to do, let's suspend what we think we know. Let's be what the Bible calls weak in spirit. Let's be weak in spirit this week, and let's not be definitive on any particular thing, particularly the things that we desire. So there's a thing, an opportunity, an achievement that's ahead of you, and you desire it, of course, and you are wrestling with your logical mind and your conditioning. What I'm going to ask you to do is just simply take this at face value, and let's do what Hanel is saying here. Let's not limit ourselves by any particular conscious conception. Let's eliminate all consideration of conditions. Let's forget about how much money we currently have, or what we currently weigh, or the fact that we're currently riding the bus, or the fact that we are currently single. Let's eliminate that. Let's forget about that for the time being. Remember only this, that you are thinking on the plane of the absolute. Again, you are the big I. You are the infinite. You are part of the absolute, the omnipresent, the omnipotent, the omniscient. And when you say this scripture, you're saying it from that standpoint, understanding that the universe is within and not without. and the power that you have through your words, through your thoughts, and ultimately into your actions. So again, the scripture the great teacher gave to us was, what things soever you desire, when ye pray, believe, that is the key, believe that ye receive them and ye shall have them. And I'm just asking you to do this for a week. I'm telling you this because I'm also talking to myself when I'm talking to you. I have to remind myself of this many times. I've used this in the past. It has worked for me time and time again. But sometimes you get embedded back into, life, and you forget, hey, how did I get to this thought pattern again? And then you have to go back and say, hey, remember how we did this? Remember how we got into this house? Remember how we got into this car? Remember how we got into this career, into this entrepreneurship? You have to continue to remind yourself of who you are. And one of the things that have been most effective for me is to eliminate outside considerations or conditions, particularly what people tell you. Stop listening to people. Stop sharing your information and the things you desire with other people. Just let them witness what's taking place with you. So I hope that is some meat for you, something that you can take away this week, where you can exercise that at least for a week, and let's see what happens. Let's do it for a week. Now, the fruit of this thought is, as it were, a gift of the gods, but a gift which few as yet realize, appreciate, or understand. The recognition of the marvelous power which is posed by the mind under proper conditions, and the fact that this power can be utilized, directed, and made available for solution of every human problem is of transcendental importance. So in other words, we're going to practice this for a week. Let's assume you've not done this before. But what you'll find after it works the first time, you'll find that you can apply it time and time again. And not just to finances, or not just to weight loss, or not just to relationships, but to every, here Hanel says, to every human problem. It is a transcendental importance, of transcendental importance. Now, the truth must be told to each generation and to every people in new and different terms, so that when the great teacher said, believe that ye receive and ye shall receive, or when Paul said, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, or when modern science says, the law of attraction is the law by which thought correlates with this object. Each statement, when subjected to analysis, is found to contain exactly the same truth. These are all saying the same thing. The only difference being the form of presentation. So Hanel is saying here, what has been true remains true to the day. The teachers, the great ones, knew this. And it's time that you come into the light of this information and begin to practice in this level of certainty. No mysticism here. How do I create? How do I create? How do I get from where I am to where I want to be? Believe that ye receive and ye shall have. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Modern science says the law of attraction. This is when you are on a certain vibratory level and you begin to attract to yourself, not what you want, but who you are. Not what you want, but who you are. So that thing, we talked about it in earlier lectures, you must become. You're in a relationship and you want more attention, you want more love from your spouse, from your partner. You must become that love in order to attract that love. All right? A new faith has been born, a faith which demands a new form of expression, and this faith is taking form in a deep consciousness of power, which is being manifested in the present spiritual activity found on every hand. The spirit which sleeps in the mineral, breathes in the vegetable, moves in the animal, reaches its highest development in man. It's the universal mind. And it behooves us to span the gulf between being and doing, theory and practice, by demonstrating our understanding of the dominion which we've been given. By far, this is the greatest discovery of all centuries, is the power of thought. So Hanel is saying here that this ever-pervasive consciousness, this power, we are aware. The minerals, the animals, and these sorts of things may not be aware, but we, on a different level of consciousness, are aware that we have this power. And many of us are not using it the way that it was designed. And it will behoove us to now demonstrate our understanding of the dominion which we've been given. Now you ask, what does the creative power of thought consist? It consists in creating ideas, and these in turn objectify themselves by appropriating, inventing, observing, discerning, discovering, analyzing, ruling, governing, combining, and applying matter and force. It can do this because it is an intelligent creative power. So let's talk about this particular scripture before we cut out for today. But whatsoever things you desire when you pray. So I come from a long line of religiosity. Spent a lot of time in church, and I've heard this scripture many times. And here's what I'll say, because I'm not here to bash religion. Let's just say it this way. In religious circles, prayer is used for beseeching God for a particular purpose. So let's say if you need money, if you need a spouse, you need health, whatever it is, we go before God and we ask for it. I'll give you a new and a better way to think about this. So number one, when you go before source energy, before God, the universe, or whatever your paradigm is, and you indicate that you do not have a thing, that indicates further that you do not understand who you are. All things are within you. You simply do not know how to access it. I want to be clear. You have access through the universal mind to all things. Money, health, wealth, relationships, you name it. You simply must understand how to access it. And the first thing that I came to understand is by asking for something, you are identifying that you don't have. I come from the understanding of I already have. Thank you for what I have. And when you approach your opportunity that way, giving affirmation and giving gratitude for a particular thing, that thing will then manifest. So let me say it again. Don't use the approach of begging or beseeching, because that is an understanding, an old understanding. The better understanding is all things reside within me. I have access to all things, and I have but to understand how to bring it from the spiritual into the physical. So you have everything you need. Whether you know it or not, you do. Also, you are the solution to every problem, every opportunity, every question that you ask. You're also the solution. You're the solution. So the solution is within you. So when you go into your quiet space and you are being still to know that you are God, listen for the solution. Listen for the answer. It will come from within you. There is nothing outside of you more powerful than what is within you. So whatsoever things you desire when you pray, believe that you receive them. You're in your quiet space. You see yourself driving your new car. You believe it. You impregnate it with the emotion. You can even feel the steering wheel and the smell of the new car. You do that 3 times a day, 5 times a day. You do it every day until the car shows up. You don't have to tell anybody until the car gets there. You just feel it. When you get up from your quiet space, though, make sure you're not the awkward farmer who goes back out and digs up the seed to see if it's germinating, because you're going to impede the progress. You may even kill your dream. Let it be done. Let it feel done. This is my new home. This is my new partner. This is my new job. And let it materialize. And when you see this process work, like Hanel said, you'll realize that it's a transcendental process. Overall, it's revolutionary because this is how all things are created. You just now have come into the understanding. So again, whatsoever things is very definitive, and it implies that only limitation which is placed upon it is your ability to think. One of the things that I think is telling about our society is when you are, awake in your conscious mind, and if you decide that, certain things are limiting and I can't do this or I can't do that, that's one thing. Okay. But if I'm asking you to imagine a best case scenario, imagine it. And even in your imagination, there are limitations. There's something wrong with that. You should be free to imagine and color your picture as far outside of the lines as you want. But we've been so well trained that even in our imagination, there are limitations. And I'm asking you today, begin to take those limitations off in your imaginations. Consider again, whatsoever things. It implies no limitation except your ability to think, to be equal to the occasion, to arise to the emergency, to remember that faith is not a shadow, but a substance, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Most of what we have, matter of fact, the entirety of what we have, it came to us from an unseen place. So your solution today will come also from an unseen place, and it will come from you. So let's summarize real quick. What is the formula for unerring solution of every individual problem? We are to believe that our desire has already been fulfilled. Again, like Neville Goddard said, live in the end. Its accomplishment will follow. Believe it's done, and it will be done. What is the result of this thought process? We are thinking on the plane of the absolute. Remember, not the little me, but the big I. And we're planting a seed which, if left undisturbed, will germinate into fruition. You got to leave it undisturbed. I find myself sometimes, you have this big thing, it's outside of you, it's very large, and you're believing it's going to happen. You've impregnated with the feeling. And then one day, somebody says something or something comes on TV and you start to doubt it. Go back to your quiet place. See it again. Keep building it. See it in more detail, make it more defined, because that doubt is going to disturb the germination process. What is the law of attraction? The law by which faith is brought into manifestation. Your faith is the seed, and your seed will come to manifestation. What importance do you attach to an understanding of this law? Well, it has eliminated the elements of uncertainty. There's no mysticism here. It's eliminated the elements of uncertainty and caprice from men's lives and substituted law, reason, and certitude. In other words, once you go through this process successfully, and you know for yourself that it does work, then you have now understood that particular truth that has set you free, that the power is within, everything that you need is inside and not outside, that you are the solution to all of your problems or obstacles, or in this case, we're going to call them opportunities, and you rely on no one else. You are part of the universal. You are part of all that is. That omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent power resides within you. Guys, again, thanks for joining this week. Please subscribe if you've not already done so. Check out the descriptions below. I'm sure we have some giveaways for you. Be well.